Okay. All right, that's enough of that. Okay. Hey, everybody. Day 7 of our stream. I'm just back to me. Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin are, doing their thing. I'll have to go back to real work here in a couple hours. Got some meetings as per the norm. So thought I'd say welcome and thanks everybody for coming. Things might be a little different when you've logged into the stream today because we hit our affiliate status during Sunflower Con. Twitch asked if I would like to join that, so I took a look at it, and it almost seems like it's kind of a bar that you have to get to. And one of the things I was trying to not do was be real ugly with the ads and stuff like that. Right now, what I'm trying to do is just let people do things like subs and follows and bits and stuff like that. I really don't want to put ads. If anybody is seeing ads, please let me know on chat and I will fix that. You know, I actually have an ad blocker on my browser, so that when I go to YouTube and stuff, I don't have to see that stuff. Or I use YouTube Download and I download the videos. So it's kind of annoying, and I hope that I don't have to go that route. It is completely optional, but um, uh, it would be nice if I didn't have to do that, and it seems like everybody on Twitch does that. So I'd like to be a little different. Our podcast would like to be a little different. The last thing I want is advertising for trash, like things that deliver things they don't say they do, like military grade encryption VPN systems or something like that. So I'd like to keep the trash off of our stream because I may not necessarily agree with certain VPN companies or certain products that they would think that our fan base or our listenership would use. There are a plethora of bad tools out there, and it seems like that they spend the most money to try to convince people that they're actually good. So one thing I wanted to do was not put the ads on unless I have some way of vetting those ads before y'all see them. So if you are seeing ads, please let me know on the chat stream or on our Twitter, which you should see on the crawl at the bottom, mine particularly, or Breaksec, and I'll see what I need to do to turn that off. So, okay, so a couple things. Sunflower Con is of course over, and I'm trying to make sure that we're having a regular stream on at least a daily basis for the first month here to get my hours under. So one of the things that I'm doing with my mentee, AJ, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I think, to 4 o'clock. Let me make sure that my work calendar has that blocked off just for shits and giggles. Yes, actually starts at 3 and we're going to go to 4:30. So it's 90 minutes. That's what I currently have. It should be on the schedule on Twitch as well. We're going to go through Tryhackme. So AJ is transitioning and he's, getting his master's. Everybody who's been listening the last week knows what's going on. He's an EMT firefighter in the Chicago area and looking to find a job in InfoSec, either by doing incident response or being a pen tester, red teamer, or something like that. So he's expressed interest in about 8 different things, all of which could be their own career, including digital forensics and incident response, pen testing, red teaming, reverse engineering, malware analysis. I mean, just like I was when I first started out, I could see the hunger. I'm like, oh my God, it's like kid in a candy store. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And so what we're trying to do is to get some base ideas on where we should go. And I think all in his defense, he wants to learn how to be a pen tester, so that understanding the attacks is also good for blue teaming. So we're going to go through some of this stuff. Tryhackme's junior pen tester section. So if you want to join us tomorrow for that session, and you want to walk through the exercises with us, you just go to tryhackme.com and get yourself an account, which is free, I believe. You can go premium. I think going premium, the difference is, here you go. The difference between free is And premium is, let's see, you get full access to learning paths. You get an hour a day for your attack box. So they start up a VM for you with, and Kali instance. So you get an hour a day. So there's a ticker that drops down. So if you, usually with some of the earlier lessons, you can get them done in, a few minutes. Or the website that you're going to be attacking, you can get it done within a few minutes. I didn't have to cheat necessarily, and I was still able to figure these things out because they do give you kind of walkthrough on, hey, go to this page and look this up and try to find the flags. So faster machines, private open VPN servers, and private King of the Hill games. If there's enough people who want to do a study group or something like that, I'm more than willing to look at some premium options. If anybody is interested in helping out, working out with that. So it looks like you can do $10 a month, or you can do annually at $7.50. So it really depends on how much you want to invest in it. This sounds like a great idea. The thing is, like with most people, you're like really raring to go at the first thing. That's right, Koenigstein. Thank you. He's one of our first subscribers. Somebody named Breaksec gifted some subs, so thank you, Breaksec, for doing so. And so you'll be really hyped up to do the the $7.50 a month because it looks cheaper. But if you only use it for 3 months or something happens and you can't go back and do it again, you've wasted that money. So sometimes it's actually good to give it a $20. Give it a couple of months at $20. If you find value in it, then go ahead and do the yearly thing. But yeah, it's almost like they expect you to pick the one that looks cheaper because it's it's a year, that kind of thing. So anywho, so that's pretty fun. We're gonna do junior pen tester one. If you're a grizzled veteran, I think I mentioned this in our Slack channel. If you're a grizzled veteran of pen testing, we'd love to hear your point of view. So feel free to come and hang out and enjoy. And tell us what I'm doing wrong or what has changed in the last 2 years, because I haven't been an engagement manager for a pen testing firm for a while. So if I'm doing something wrong, or if your experiences were different than what I have done in my career, we'd love to hear them. We'd love to hear that. So but yeah, go grab you a Tryhackme account, which is free. We'll go through these things. So yeah, we're gonna. I think one of the first things we talk about is letters of permission, the difference in hacking types, pen testing types. I'm trying to find better ways of using than the completely open, completely closed, and like hybrid versions of pen testing. They have various colors that they like to use, which I'm trying to get away from that. So we'll try to use more friendly terminology for pen testing types. So okay, let me see. Oh yes, I saw this. This just came out. I think this was on our Slack channel in our news of the day. A lot of folks were interested in this. So if you're using Firefox, kind of like I was, I'm back to Edge now. There's ODays that have been dropped by Kihu 360, a couple of security researchers. Kihu 360 discovered, and they've been credited with discovering and reporting the shortcomings. They pushed out of banned software updates, so that's how important this is. They decided to not wait for regular patch cycle to make this happen, so go and update your stuff as soon as possible. 2022 26485 and 26486 ODay flaws have been described as a use after free issue impacting XSLT. I think we've talked about that in a couple of previous streams. XSLT is the style sheets pretty much for XML files. It allows you to define tags instead of, like HTML has, H flags or P flag, P tags or H tags saying this is a header, this is a P. You can, in XML, using XSLT, you can make a Bob tag, and a Bob tag would, have specific formatting for files and text and stuff. But yeah, there's a use after free bug. So a use after free bug for those of you. I'm going to go ahead and go click over here. It's we've talked about CWE as well. So it's referencing memory after it has been freed that can cause a program to crash, use unexpected values, or execute code. So use of previously freed memory can have any number of adverse consequences, ranging from corruption of valid data to execution of arbitrary code. Ding, 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 ding. Depending on the instantiation and timing of the flaw. Simplest way data corruption can occur involves the system's reuse of freed memory. Use after free errors have two common and sometimes overlapping causes: error conditions and other exceptional circumstances, and confusion over which part of the program is responsible for freeing the memory. So if you go back to the article, I think what they mentioned here was, description of the two flaws is use that. Yeah. So yeah, they say, I think they actually just copied and pasted from the previous article. They're saying they're trying to figure out which part of the program is responsible for freeing the memory. So they did say that there are reports of this attack in the wild being weaponized, but did not share any technical specifics related to the intrusions, which makes sense. They don't want to cause any issues. They just are hoping that you will patch your browser. The other one is an unexpected message in the web GPU IPC inter-process communication framework. Could use after free. So these are both code issues and exploitable exploitable sandbox escape. Ding, 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 ding. There we go. The web GPU. Web GPU. Okay, your graphics card fingerprint could be used in your activities across the web. Okay, very cool. Okay. So if you have not patched your systems yet, make sure that you are doing so. And does it say they don't have I don't think maybe MITRE has updated their CWEs yet on that, but I didn't see where they I don't see a rating anywhere on here, so there might be a better article somewhere that has like the CV numbers or CVSS numbers, if you will. Okay, so there we go. That's that one. Let me see. Next one. Oh, a couple weeks ago, there was a rumor that Microsoft was going to buy Mandiant, and obviously there's not a lot to the story. It's pretty much the whole page right there. But just coming out late, I don't know, a couple hours ago, as a matter of fact, this says updated 2 hours ago, Google is now in talks to buy Mandiant. So either the first one was an untruth, or this one is less than truthful. So MDMT, of course, is trading at, yes, look at that. Ding, ding, ding. Yay. Just a full disclosure, I've had Mandiant stock since 2016. So I'm making a pretty penny right now, to be honest. I bought it at like 16, 18, and I think 12. So right now it's trading up, obviously, after hours because speculation of the Googs buying it. So yeah, everybody's on that. So it's up about 16% from it was normal 1870. So that's pretty cool. Either somebody is throwing out untruths, or I mean, $4.5 billion in market valuation is a rounding error to folks like Microsoft and Google. So it would, plus it's one of those things, Mandiant's already an established company with established customers, with established technology. So it makes sense to, instead of trying to build your own, to just acquire. So but yeah, that's so let me see, 1 month. So I think, let me see, 6 months ago. So I think this was when, so let's see, it was around February 9th. That was when they were suggested to be, I think, purchased, or Microsoft was talking to them about being purchased, and then, that appeared to be a bust, and then it's like, whoop, back up again. So they're doing quite well for themselves just on speculation alone. So there you go. All right. Saw this one. This is not just, I think that there's other attacks out there. I think they just happened to find out that Alexa was going to hack itself. So you read, University of London and the University of Catania have discovered how to weaponize Echo devices to hack themselves. Causes the Echo speaker to perform actions upon itself. Self-activation of the Echo device also happens when the audio file reproduced by the device itself contains a voice command. Even if the device asks for secondary confirmation in order to perform the action, the adversary only has to append a yes approximately 6 seconds after the request to make sure the device will be successful. Dang. Okay. But it's not all doom and gloom. You actually have to be within a physical pairing range of the Bluetooth pairing range, which according to BLE standards, I believe, for low power is within like 30 feet or 10 meters. It could be a little longer, but back in the day, I used to be able to go about 60 feet because my phone was line of sight with other things. So I was able to go about 60 feet, but it was complete line of sight. Unlike internet-based attacks, the scenario requires proximity. Physical impediment is also balanced by the fact that, as the researchers noted, once paired, Bluetooth devices can connect and disconnect from Echo without any need to perform the pairing process again. So you can, once paired, then 5 days later you can go back and do this thing again. So they got pretty inventive though. I mean, they used an internet radio station beaming to the Echo like a command and control server, so you could make it run some kind of audio. I won't repeat anything with that over the stream here. That way, in case somebody does have an Echo nearby, they don't accidentally get pwned. But yeah, there's additional bits here, so it will be interesting to see if this also affects others like Cortana or the Google one as well. So I only say that because I have a Google Home Mini, the little bitty ones. It just turns on a light for me. That's all I have it do. And I ask it for weather. So let me see. Oh, so they've already patched it, which is cool. Okay, so that's nice. Most people aren't evil. That is a true statement. It's hard to test new technology's criminal intent because even testers lack the criminal mindset, and that's a good thing for society. Yeah, you can be curious though. I don't think it really means evil. I think you can put yourself into the mind of somebody who's doing that. When we threat model, for instance, the first thing I ask is how's this going to be used in a negative manner, or what if the what if questions. What if someone was to send a malformed message? What if somebody transmitted audio over a speaker and it did other things? Like, could you send something to an Alexa that would, if you've got an Alexa and a Cortana and a Google in the area, could you have the Alexa say, "Hey Google"? Could you have the Cortana say, "Hey Google," or something like that? So
I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah,
How's
there you
your
go.
going?
Hey Google, never mind. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Yeah, I have to tell it thank you because when it rises up like Terminator on Judgment Day, then I need it to remember that I was a good guy, a good person. So. I saw when it said that, I saw the little lights. I was like, oh man. So I apologize to everybody who has one as well. I should not have said that. So yeah, they also have the patched version of the software if you need to go and get it. Here's where you can go and grab your Echoes and your other things. So there you go. Anybody have any questions, thoughts about this? Did anybody's devices activate while I was chatting with my own device? Anybody shun IoT devices? Because I shunned them for the longest time, but then I was talking to my friends Alyssa Miller and April Wright on this podcast about IoT privacy and stalking, and one of the things was like, you should be using them because as a security person, we need to help educate those who aren't security people about these things. So I felt bad, and somebody had gifted me this home mini, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I hadn't even taken it out of the box. So, um, I picked it up and started using it. So, and I actually bought an internet light, connected light. So it seamlessly connects. I tell it the command and it turns my light on in my office. That's all I do with it. Oh, and I can change the colors on the light because it's important. So let me see. Let's see. Oh, so during Sunflower Con, our mega panel that had occurred, there was a lot of discussion about attribution and attacks that were happening around the world. And for those of us who have done attribution, that not being me, I haven't done attribution. I used to work for a company that did a lot of attribution. There is I don't know, there's a how do I say this? People are quick to sometimes assume because something was attacked, depending on what was attacked, oh, it must be this. If it was Lumpy Panda or Happy Spider or Incontinent Bear or something like that, because it was this, then they must have been the ones who did it, and it's hard, to just assume, because. As we've seen in numerous stories, somebody can put some, text from a, specific language, if you will, inside of the malware, LOL, hello from China, that kind of thing, or hello from, Java or what have you. And, people will go, oh, obviously they speak, whatever it is. So they, and, may not be the case. So, one of the things that Mr. Betcher, you met him last night on the show. Miss Berlin will hopefully be on the show next week or in the next few weeks. She came back from B-Sides Huntsville last night, which is why she wasn't on the show. But Mr. Betcher turned me on to this book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And he was a... Amos Tversky and them. There's actually a book about Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky's relationship. Yeah, The Undoing Project. That's right. Yeah. I read that one, or I listened to that one too. The audio book on this one was pretty good. You have to take it in steps. I found the reader, the narrator, to be a bit on the dry side, but I was working through this book at the same time I was looking at whether or not I wanted to retool from a security position to more of a manager or PM type role. And the book, pretty much was like, oh, this is incident response people. When we're assuming something or when we're in the middle of an incident response, we tend to make snap decisions or going with your gut, if you will. And some of the stuff they talk about with System 1 and System 2 thinking, System 1 is fast, intuitive, and emotional. System 2 is slower, more deliberative, and logical. The funny thing is, System 2 is slower, more deliberative, and more logical. He almost, when they write the book, it almost feels like System 2 is lazy, but more correct. And System 1 is of course, fast and to the point, but sometimes wrong. So, the problem is we tend to sometimes thrive in the System 1 area. Intuitive is like, well, I've seen this before. That's got to definitely be, Incontinent Panda or whatever, or a Sleepy Panda or what have you. And then, later on you're like, well, let me, and then you start looking for other things. And then it's like, as you're continuing the research and you're gathering more information, it's almost like the System 2 turns on and goes, oh, wait, I remember there's some IOCs from a week ago that, was actually, very similar to this attack pattern. And, oh, maybe it wasn't, Lazy Panda or whatever. Maybe it was, Happy Spider instead. So what you get is you get your gut feelings here, which is sometimes right based on your experiences or what have you. But invariably, you may miss a vital piece of information, which, if you were to happen to go back, somebody points out something to you, you're like, oh, okay, my bad. Yes. Now I realize that I made a mistake. Yes, it was actually this other person. So, or it was this. This was the root cause, not necessarily this, because initially, sometimes in incident response, we just want to get through it. So the quickest point, between 2 points is a straight line. Sometimes system 2 will take you, this way, this way, this way, this way, just to get to the second point. So, but it's a guaranteed, route in this case. All right. So, yeah. So this is a very good book. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I would definitely do so. I think we read this at one time during our book club, but I'm always willing to go back and reread stuff that is pretty seminal. I would say seminal. Yeah. If you want to, have some aha moments, this is definitely a book you want to read. The other one I would have suggested was The Goal, which is not bad. The problem is the little story for it is a bit on the dated side. Let me see if it's in here. Nope. Let me go. All right, The Goal. The audio book for it is fairly dated. I mean, this one here, Ongoing Improvement. Last night we talked with Stacy Cameron and Shannon Noonan about automation and just blindly automating things, depending on where you work. Talking a little bit about change management, getting people to buy into the changes. This one is good. It's the precursor to like the Phoenix Project, which was written by, I've got that book in ebook too. I read that. It was a parable. Let me see, Phoenix Project. Phoenix Project. There we go. And I also read Project Unicorn as well. There we go. Oh, Gene Kim. That's right. These are all pretty good. I would argue that not everything works as easily as these folks suggest in the books, but in a perfect world, that would be how you would want to do it. So, there we go. I can do that. Copy. Doink, doink. All right, there you go. Oh, I probably should. Phoenix Project. Yeah, the audiobook's pretty good on that one. The author does actually try to make an effort to put different voices to people, and so that was pretty good. Narrator Chris Ruin. And let me see, Unicorn Project. I was less thrilled about this one. I had listened to it as well. Right, there we go. But these are both pretty decent books if you want to use ideas. Let's see, Unicorn Project. There we go. Maybe we'll have. I've had Gene Kim on. That we've had Gene Kim on the show talking about the Phoenix Project in the past. Might be interesting to have him come back on. We can have him talking about this as well. When did this one come out? I forget. Let's see. Oh, 2014. Wow. Oh my God. It's almost 7 years old. Wow. Dang. Okay. Then they've updated it since. When you purchase this title, the PDF will be available in your... Yeah. I like the audiobooks. If just a little tip, if you read the book for something like your CISSP or whatever, they'll only give you like 10 to 15 they'll only give you X number of credits for reading the book, like the physical Dead Tree book. I've always treated audiobooks like podcasts. So, this is like a 17-hour podcast, pretty much. So you get 17 CPEs, and I read them when I'm taking my walks. So, if you're not listening to BreakSec podcasts, hint, hint, or Risky Business or Defensive Security or, Hacker Valley podcast, I think is another good one. Take a look at reading some audiobooks if, you need to have that. It works, if you can commute, you can, read books. So, where was I? Oh, the goal. The problem is I had was the examples for the husband and the wife are a bit outdated. It feels like very 1950s, oh, I'm the man, I go to work, and she's, kind of at home, Susie Homemaker kind of thing, nuclear family, three, wife, husband, 2.5 kids and a dog or something like that. Also, the other thing I noticed about the goal after reading it, I was like, oh, wow, great, being the most efficient possible. The problem is it doesn't mention anything about burnout. The idea is that you're trying to set up all your processes so that you don't have any work that is waiting for people. So, the person who's a bottleneck, you can only move as fast as the slowest person in this case. So, you either have to figure out how to manage the work so that that person or that thing or that station, in case of the factory, can process those things in an amount of time. Now, this is all great and well and good for processes until you've got people who are facing burnout or, and then their efficiency is going to drop, because they're not always going to sit there and hammer the same nail every day, day in, day out. It's going to get boring. It's going to get monotonous, and the efficiency is going to drop. That's one thing that Eliyahu Goldratt, Professor Goldratt, didn't seem to factor in when talking about that. So I would love to see and hear his thoughts about the what everything is going on with regards to how this would affect your burnout. I also have read or listened to the Toyota Way, not too bad, and Critical Chain, I think, was another one of his books. I have listened to Beyond the Goal, Theory, Constraints. If you're going for your PMP, listen to this book about theory, constraints, and Beyond the Goal, because you will see that a little bit in the PMP certification, at least version 5, 6. I think it was 6. Critical Chain was another one. Yeah, theory of constraints. That one was another one there. So. I actually listened to this one about her father talking about all of these things. He was a physicist who pretty much became like an economist or like somebody who's, handling, process improvement. So, but those are good books if you want to understand a little bit more about process improvement, process management, and things like critical path, critical chain, etc. So Kahneman's fundamental proposition is we identify with system 2, but the one that's really in charge is system 1, as it effortlessly originates impressions and feelings that are the main sources of explicit beliefs and deliberate choices of system 2. Most of the time, system 1 runs automatically. System 2 is a comfortable low effort mode in the background. So if you treat it like a computer, it's one of those, little icons that sits down there like Slack, where you're like, oh, I can't see anything until I double click on it and bring up the UI. So those are some pretty good books to read on System 1 and System 2 thinking there. So now, depending on who reviews the book, they either think it's complete BS or they really like it. There's definitely some detractors there. I believe, let me see, what did he say? However, we can use some external mechanism. Yeah, smart incentives, gamification. Yeah. They're talking about If it doesn't because it's lazy. We get a bunch of superfluous answers with little depth. Yeah. But yeah, so it you can read this. Let me add this blog post if you want to read the deal. I mean, ugh, yeah, that's ugly. Yeah, that was an ugly URL. I apologize for that. All right, let's move along. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Now let's 5 tips to avoid confusion with clear communication. Building on some of what we were talking about last night, there was definitely communication there, helping people to understand why changes were going to be implemented, how and why automation is important. If you go back and watch last night's stream, there's a bunch of links that we put in during the stream for various websites talking about change management and automation of those tasks. But the one I was asking about was communication. How do you communicate these changes across your environment, and how do you you're going to have to sell them in many cases because a lot of people are somewhat resistant to change unless you've got people on your team that are actually helping you with that. Why do we need to make this change? Nothing was wrong with the old system. Managing and knowing who those pockets of resistance are going to be, and coming with information that will help them, because they're thinking in system one, right? I mean, they're completely like, why do we need this? There's nothing wrong with the existing system, and then you have to bring like ADKAR mentions, you have to bring awareness and desire, which are the A and the D parts of ADKAR. Awareness, hey, did you realize that it takes, every month we have to do this report and it takes 5 people 20 hours to do this? Okay, and it's, well, how much does that cost us if everybody is paid $80 an hour or something? So, easy math is there, 100 hours times 80 is $80,000 to write a report, basically. If it takes 10 hours at $80 times 10 people or whatever I said initially. If we talked about showing savings in regard. So sometimes you have to figure out how to effectively communicate to the resistance, to the people who are hesitant to change. Will it affect their job? Yes, it may affect your job, but you'll have more time to do this other thing over here instead of, generating the same report every month. And we talked a little bit about the intersection of, should you automate this or shouldn't you automate this? So there's, you get that intersection where, I only do this once a year, so do you need to automate it? Well, maybe not. You do it once a month? Yeah, maybe some automation needs to be put into place. So they say determine to be the solution. Most of us are fully aware of our own part in the communication quagmire. I was actually looking up some things after this. So they said, starts off with a little parable. I had a boss who rarely shared information and never in a timely way. Office happened to be different building than his. You can, make inferences, different building, different region, different country, etc. One-on-one meetings took a little effort. Not only did he cancel most of our meetings, he did so without notice. If you work for a boss that has rearranged or moved your one-on-ones more than once during your week, you may feel that particular pressure as well. Either they outright cancel them or they move them from, a time that you thought was going to be good because, hey, I really need to talk to him or her today. And, oh, great. Okay. So now I have to wait until after the important meeting, and, some of that is just making sure that, you need to talk to them because X, and maybe they don't know that you actually need to talk to them. So there's some of that. So when we did meet, he provided little or no clarity. He dodged most of my questions with, I'll have to get back to you on that. It was maddening. Okay. Most under communication is inadvertent. People are simply unaware of the gap between what's in their mind and what's in yours. It could be also that maybe the manager does not have the same priorities, or you have something that's important that, is ideally something he or she should be thinking about, or, But yeah, sometimes, yeah, the curse of knowledge means that sometimes you know something is very hard to remember that other people don't. That's right. Let me see. Most of us are not fully aware of our own part in the communication quagmire. We may expect others to do all the work of conveying information. First step is communicating clearly to determine to be the solution, not the problem. Okay. I wanted to scroll down here. You can't actually over communicate. Okay. Question to those in watching: how do you communicate with your bosses? Are you better in a face-to-face kind of deal? Do you prefer email because it's in stone, it's written in stone? What's the way that you prefer talking with people or your manager? And what are your one-on-ones like with your manager? Maybe that's a good question. Or do you have one-on-ones with managers at all? That's another problem if you need to talk to a manager and you don't have a one-on-one with them. So any thoughts there from the listeners at large? Yeah, so number 2 makes a lot of sense. Stop assuming people know what's important or what needs to be done. I can definitely hear that being kicked to the manager. If a manager is not discussing things with the team, your team, the team could actually be deviating away from whatever it is or whatever goals are being worked on. So being able to if you're a manager, you need to stop assuming that people know what is important or what needs to get done, or make sure that you can get out of their way if they do have a full head of steam and they're moving in that direction. Get your thoughts out of your head where others can read or hear them. Excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking about one-on-ones, manager tools. I haven't listened to manager tools in a bit, but they have a specific format on and numerous podcasts on doing one-on-ones. This is a really good podcast if you're a brand new manager or you see yourself heading towards that way. They also count as Class B credits for your CISP as well. So, you can. There's certain guidance. If you actually buy into their licensing every year, you get information on full page documents, pretty much the transcripts of the podcasts that they prep ahead of time. But they have a specific format, a 30-minute format or something like that for each one of these, preparing for your one-on-ones. They go through, how should I get ready for my one-on-one? What things should be talking about in your one-on-one? How do I make sure my one-on-ones are effective? So it's a pretty good podcast. They're nice and about 30 minutes long. So if you're interested in, maybe it's something you could read this if your manager is not giving you effective feedback or you're, not getting one-on-ones, you'd be like, hey, let's have one-on-one. Let's, this is the format I'd like to use potentially if your company's not doing one-on-ones. That might be a good way for you to do that. It's a nice 23-minute, 36-second podcast. So, but yeah, manager tools, career tools is another good one. They have a lot of good information there in their career tools. If you're looking for how to write a good resume, they believe in the one-page resume. So that's another thing you can go and look at. They have podcasts. There you go. And they also have executive tools. I haven't gotten that one because I'm not an executive. So, but that one's the newer of the 3 podcasts. So, anyway, 5 tips. Yeah, confirming understanding communication hasn't happened until the other person not only receives your words but also understands them. When I took my was it CISP? No, it was PMP course. I think they talked about the fundamentals of sound, having the output being somebody's mouth or what have you, the medium, which is the air around us, why you're hearing it now is the vibrations in the air, and having a receiver, in this case, the microphone. They tried to, state that, if you are not communicating well enough, that message can get lost. There's a different kind of medium in this case, and it's sometimes it's, lack of understanding or not. The input may not necessarily know what the person is thinking. Your intuition might be a little off. So. Pushing for clarity. Before you compose a message, ask yourself, how can I set the other person up for success? Before you hit send, reread the communication to make sure it's clear. Clarity is vital for communication. Sometimes that will mean pushing others for clarity. Remember, they also suffer from the curse of knowledge and may have a tendency to omit information or use ambiguous language. Yeah, especially if you're, I've had to, kick off a bunch of emails one time, and I'll type a bunch of stuff, and then I'll get emails back with questions like, in what context is this? I hate that word, but context is, the thing. And you'll be like, once you've sat down and thought about it, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't tell them about this. So now you have to write back that. And sometimes I'm very guilty of writing a bunch of stuff just to, can't believe it. Yeah, you're typing, you're banging on the keyboard, and you're trying to get something out because it's 4:30 in the afternoon, and you're trying to get out for the weekend. Typing all this stuff up, and then you send it, and then it's like Monday morning, you're inundated in your inbox, going, what did this email mean? What were we supposed to do with this? Was it actionable? That kind of thing. So. You can request a read receipt when you send a message, but you can also get an understand receipt. You can do that with questions like, is there anything unclear about that? Or do you understand based on what I've said? Oh, that's not bad. I haven't thought about that one. That makes sense. I had usually prefaced my emails with, if you have any questions, you can let me know. But maybe people don't always reply to, if you have any questions, please let me know, because they don't. Maybe I could do better in communicating that to folks. So people are busy and distracted. They forget things they should remember, things they want to remember. Communication is not a one and done event. Communicate again and again. That's true. The one thing I would preface by the over communication is you don't want. I don't want to say there is a over communication, but with the communication has to be something that's actionable. Or if you're having a meeting and you're trying to get consensus from people, having to hound people for emails or replies or in writing sign-offs or approvals can sometimes be difficult. You may end up having to have more than one meeting just to get the clear, direct, and intentional communications in those discussions. So the one thing I'd like to say before we move off of this article is everybody can be a manager. I've heard more than one example of managing up. So if you need something from your boss, you should task them with that and say, hey, you have a deliverable. It needs to be out by, X. I need this before Thursday because I can't do Y without it. So, put the onus on them to get you the deliverable that you need, or to get the information you need, or to get you the contact you need. So that way you are set up for success. That way you're not sitting in your one-on-one going, look, I didn't get this done. I was hoping to get that done. If they haven't given you your deliverable, you can take them to task. You should be able to take them to task for that. So, I'm always trying. I don't know if I'm a good PM, but I would like to think that, like most InfoSec people, I'm a noob at being a PM, and I probably forever will be. But I do try to take to heart things like communication. If somebody is unable to understand my emails, I have to remind myself, did I actually write a good email or did I write a trash email? And then, I've got issues there. So, so for those of you who are still here, and I appreciate that, 4 considerations for improving your cloud security hygiene. A lot has been made recently about cloud security. Your orgs are, dealing with hygiene issues. Our CIS top 20, the first thing they do is they try to hammer in the fact of, understanding your hardware and software that's in your environment can be very difficult in a disparate cloud area. So they said, categorize how complete your cloud coverage is. They said in a pre-cloud world, it's easy to understand how many systems you had because you could just go over to the server rack and count them. And hell, even in the pre-cloud world, you still had things like VMs and stuff that you had to keep track of that were easy to put up on anybody's box. Or you had that developer who thought he needed to put up a DHCP server on the network in addition to the DHCP server that was already there. That happened to us once. That was an interesting find, having to try to find the developer who used his Solaris box to set up a DHCP server, which sent out a bunch of IP addresses and borked our network. God, that's going on. Yeah, Solaris box. So that was about 10, 12 years ago. So categorize how complete your cloud coverage is. How many of your systems are covered by this measurement? We patched 75 systems for the latest CVE isn't a good statement if you only have 75 systems. If you have 1,000, it's not a very positive outcome, yeah. Count how comprehensive your controls are. For any system, it can be easy to implement a security control, then move on. You've patched that web server in the cloud, great. What about all your other objectives? Have you controlled for all of... Oh, that's an odd sentence. Wait. Have you controlled for all your relevant types of risk? Yeah, that's an odd statement. Or odd question or query. There are a number of relevant frameworks for looking at risk. In the cloud controls matrix is a great place to start. So let's go look that one up. Yeah, CAC, yeah. Or CAKE. I think they call it CAKE, C-I-A-Q, CAKE. Let's put that in the notes here so people can go take a look at the cloud controls matrix if you'd like. This works for large data centers, or if you still have a traditional data center, those are pretty good too. Cloud controls matrix, cybersecurity control framework, aligned to the CSA best practices. Again, here's Cloud Security Alliance. I have a friend of mine. I should get her on the show, on the stream here. Cloud Security Alliance. I believe she helped stand this up back in the day. So let's download the guidance. Yes, Cloud Controls Matrix. Good Lord. Okay, so it's. I just want the I want the Excel spreadsheet. Let me see. Download on its own here. Please. Oh, come on, man. Y'all are killing me. It's like the DMV or something of. There's got to be a way to get this spreadsheet. Come on. Oh, so my current job, sure, information technology, organization. Let's do Nunya. I'm a VP today. We'll just be a VP. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a freemium model. They want you to give out their information for that. So, yeah. So count how comprehensive your controls are. So, yeah, go in. There's 17 domains, 197 controls. There's a lot of them, but the funny thing with it sounds like a lot of controls, but you probably do a good number of those things, or your cloud provider does them for you. So figure out what you have in place already before you just start at number one and work your way down. A lot of things you'll find are potentially done, or if, like most check sheets, they are optional, or you can always triage them by what controls are in place, as mitigating controls. So, something that may be a high, if you have something, may actually mitigate it down to a medium or low. Yeah, you can start with one domain and see how the controls apply to one cluster. You talked about clustering your devices up here. Keeping an asset inventory might be a monumental task, but if you have all of your Docker instances or your containers or your VMs, if they do a specific thing, or you've set up some kind of load balancing where all of your middleware systems or all of your web application are all in one cluster, it will be easier for you to manage those. Perhaps your production servers are in one cluster, development's in another, your employee laptops are in a third cluster, and corporate IT are in a fourth. That's actually a good thing. I mean, these are segments off. So, especially they mention AWS. Each one of these clusters will have their own security routing. So you may have to set explicit connectivity between each cluster. So that would actually help, with things like lateral movement or, not, if all your development and production environment are in the same place, there could be some people who might want to use the production databases in the development environment for testing purposes. That can cause you some problems. Trust me. Don't ever use production data in your dev environment or your test environment. Got to find a way to create trash information or find some way to obfuscate or just randomly generate that test data if you can. So yeah, having those in separate clusters will also make your compliance, like we talked about last night, PCI and all those other things, a lot easier. They do, PCI, especially if you can put all of your PCI controlled items into one cluster and send everything into it. I always called PCI black hole. You want to send everything to the black hole. Nothing ever gets out of the black hole. So you don't want to be trying to make data connections or anything out to those systems. So things have gotten a lot easier with that in the past few years. Last time I worked with PCI dealing with all that stuff, it was in 2 physical data centers, and that was a bit painful. So consider the context inside your cloud. While your cloud controls may be implemented across your systems, some of your systems are more equal than others. Some of your web servers may be only public facing. Someone being able to get access to that system would be embarrassing. Yes, if you have public facing information on them, that may be bad. Some of your web servers may have access to private data stores. So, you might need to have bastion hosts or some kind of jump host if you've got, private portals for customers that need to be, gain access to those things. Context may help you create dynamic subclusters. So yeah, all of your web servers are in this place, but maybe you've got 3 web servers that are for, maybe you have big accounting, maybe big clients or something like that, and you've promised them their own dedicated resources inside your environment. You may have, the Joe Bob Billy's Bait Shop web server instead of just having everybody in Gen Pop going to the same servers. So yeah, having those, you can subdivide your 4 categories, splitting them on 2 axes of internet facing and has access to PII. Those are different swim lanes you could use. Is this internet facing? What does this have access to? What can this gain access to? That's part of your architecture diagrams as well. Knowing what has access to what and which cluster has the ability to touch your database servers or your I don't want to call them crown jewels anymore, but the really important data that can make or break your company, kind of thing. So, and then they bury the lead down here. The hardest part of this approach is you'll stop providing definitive, certain. The hardest part of an approach like this is that you'll stop providing definitive, certain answers to yourself and others. Are we patched? Stops being answered with yes. Instead, you'll start to understand exactly where you're patched. So it's a visibility thing. This also drives visibility into your environment, making sure that, we have clusters, 1A and 2B done. We need 1B and 2A done, so Maybe your subclusters also would be broken down into internet facing and really hard to patch, or internet facing PII, really hard to patch, and end of life, or we're deprecating this, so it's being sunsetted, or these won't matter in a couple of weeks. I've had to deal with a lot of that. It's like by the time you scan an environment with a vulnerability scanner, those devices may be gone, because if you're using something like a Docker that is bringing up new instances and bringing them down when they're not being used, by the time you finish scanning this box, it may no longer exist. So yeah, just that made for interesting times. So let me see. Okay. I had started looking into MITRE ATT&CK because, and I want to save this potentially for another show where I can talk to Miss Berlin about it. They came up with, no, what the hell? MITRE Engage. I had saw a news article. Yeah, I think it was this. This was a PR. The new MITRE Engage framework. So they have ATT&CK, which was the first one. At least I think it was the first one. It's the only one I remember from MITRE at the time. Then they have Defend, which was, it was like, helping security companies who have, applications and services and devices show how their systems cover the, certain controls in place to blunt the stuff in the attack framework. When Defend came out, we did a show about it. I couldn't exactly figure out what it was needed for, and I still don't. That's my cat. Let's see. MITRE launches Engage framework to defend against cyber attacks. New Engage framework facilitates community engagement and provides a toolkit, including guidebooks, starter kit, worksheets, posters, etc., for non-commercial use to CISOs, defenders, and vendors. You could have left the vendors off, dude. Oh, it's unfortunate. So yeah, they're let's see. Informed by adversary behavior observed in the real world, Engage. They've gotten rid of the whole attack and defend, because attack had a little ampersand in it. Defend had a 3 because they were trying to be cool. Engage must be like, the buttoned up, shirt, being all professional and stuff, because it's got nothing inside of it. So Engage helps CISOs, cyber defenders, and vendors to implement defensive strategies. So adversary engagement and deception operations can cut the cost of a data breach in half. Sure. I mean, something as easy as a tar pit, or something, an email, or some other deceptive strategy to, honeypots. You've got honeypots, honeyports, honey accounts, honey asterisks. We'll just call it asterisks in this case. If you can find, canaries, if you use canary tokens, or like, what's his name? Haroon Mirror's Thinkst canaries. They don't sponsor the show. They're on Risky Business a lot, but Haroon's cool dude, and his company's pretty awesome. They did a lot of stuff for Log4j when it came out as well. Standing up and setting up tokens to detect activity where bad guys might be using Log4j for that. So yeah, they have. It was built upon Shield framework. Okay, so there was another framework called Shield. It looks like active defense. Okay, using deception and trickery to defeat cyber adversaries. Cyber attackers seem to have all the advantages: time, place, and manner. Defenders must successfully repel every attack. So MITRE Shield was. So they have Shield. I did not know about Shield. Apparently that's how good it is. It's publicly available, free knowledge base of common techniques and tactics that experts can use to reassess and revise their defenses. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So there you go. They have. Okay. Oh, so they've. Shield is now Engage. Okay. All right. Matrix bridges gaps between defenders, decision makers, actionable and pragmatic guidance. So they have playbooks. You can download these. Let me just put the link up here in the chat if anybody is interested. We may go through some of this stuff at a later date. I'm kind of interested in seeing what the practical guide to adversary engagement is, and how we can use that to better help folks. So let me see. Mindset, empowering you to redefine what security means and rethink how to achieve it. Methods to learn and plan and building capabilities with every operation. Standards and terminology to apply, assess, and validate tools. So you can dive in all the tools or scroll down. Okay. Interesting. All right. Start engaging. I worry about that. I need to understand what start engaging your adversaries are. So, all right. Mission essential task list, metal template of the MITRE's Engage team operational for elicitation operations. Okay. Developing adversary engagement expertise. Might be worth going through and finding out who authored this so we can have them on the show. This is pretty much how we do the podcast. It's like, oh, I found something. Let me go and talk to that person and see if they want to come on the show. Let me see. Who helped write some of this stuff? I wonder if, let me see. MITRE Engage on LinkedIn. You can mail to engage@mitre.org. Okay. Might be something during our BreakSec podcast where we can, go through some of these items. Whether wait. According to Hill and Christina Fowler. Okay, so that's, let's see. Somebody had to wrote this. Maybe it's here in the book. Lisa Fassold. Okay. In the past year, MITRE ran a series of focus groups with vendors to solicit feedback. Also runs the regular adversary engagement operations to inform and drive resources it publishes on the Engage website. So it looks like it gathers maybe TTPs and gives you solutions to help with, removal of, bad guys from your network, or to stymie them, to, create ways to, make sure that they're touching things that look nice, but are really going to, light off an alert or log or something like that, where your systems will be able to watch those things come up. So, I was looking at the attack matrix, and they have a ton of stuff in here. And a couple of things I was going to look through was like active scanning, part of the reconnaissance stuff. My mentee AJ and I, like I said, are going to go through the Tryhackme stuff, but part of it was walking through an application. Depending on the type of engagement you're working on, and we learned a lot about this in SunflowerCon, not doing any kind of OSINT might be important. What's this? That's what I get for not turning off my... inside joke, sorry. So yeah, there's a number of different ways to do reconnaissance. Active scanning is one of the big ones. You're gonna see organizations being pinged on a regular basis. If you ever look at your external firewall rules logs, you might notice a lot of scanning being done by certain organizations. Could be Shodan in this case, was probably one of the more well-known internet scanners. You might also have certain threat actors scanning certain ports for services, doing banner grabs or what have you, potentially looking for certain versions of software. If somebody runs HTTP-V or whatever it is for Apache, and they can find out that it's 2.2.22 P25, they can find out what OS you're running, because the backported patches, the version that was run with that, certain Linux OSs also don't backport their patches like that. So If you're running 2.2.22, for instance, please patch, for the love of God, patch forever. But yeah, you can do an OS fingerprint based on the version, because 2.2.22 say shipped with Ubuntu 16 or something like that. And you can say, well, okay, now I know they have Ubuntu 16. I also know that they have, even if they're running this version, then they may be behind on other versions of software on their system. And it makes it an interesting target. That's obviously doing things like making sure the banner grabs don't show up if somebody does that, or the error pages don't have the I'm running Debian version 2.2.22, and they're like, okay, so you just made it a lot easier for me. You're running like Debian 6 or something like that. So yeah, mitigations, pre-compromise. This technique cannot be easily mitigated with preventative control, since it's based on behaviors performed outside the scope of the enterprise defenses and controls. So yeah, you can't stop people from scanning your IP space. You can, make it easier. If you have a /23 IP address range, you can do things like hiding your ICANN or your domain registrars or what have you. Setting up some kind of privacy on your whois records so that people don't know or can't look up easily. Detection, of course, you're gonna maybe have a sniffer on your outside firewall interface. You may be checking that, and you'll see traffic flow happening that way. You may see stuff coming in on whatever Palo Alto, Cisco, Blue Coat, whatever. Your enterprise systems, maybe you've got load balancers in place behind, in front of the two firewalls. So you may have something on your load balancers that go, oh, we just saw a massive spike in traffic on port 1030 from, this IP address or this IP address range or what have you. So monitoring for suspicious network traffic. The idea would be to head this off before it becomes a big thing. So they're saying it could be indicative of scanning such as large quantities originating from a single source. Analyzing web metadata may also reveal artifacts attributed to potentially malicious activities. Refer or user agent strings. Sometimes you'll see a malformed agent string trying to get you to do something, or trying to get something to happen. That's, you can't always assume that they're going to use a weird agent string, but it's just something to think about when you're doing that. Much of this activity may have a very high occurrence and associated false positive rate. Yes, very much so on the false positive rate, as well as potentially taking place outside the visibility of your target organization. I think, and if somebody out there is watching this and they're screaming, hey, do this, please let me know. But I would argue you only want to see the stuff that, I think this goes back to visibility when we were talking about, making sure that everybody's aware of what's going on. Knowing what you have exposed to the internet could be very helpful too, because if you can block or say, okay, we don't have anything running on 1030, that's fine. We can just block that port from working. A lot of times 80 and 443 are like the de facto, like bam, bam, bams. Especially 443, if you have external servers, what they're hoping to find are things like RDP, especially if these systems are important for like jump hosts or bastion hosts. They're looking for VPN servers that, with specific tags or specific version numbers. Monitoring your traffic flow with a, what did Patrick call that? Network defense, NDR, network defense, and it's like EDR, endpoint detection and response, network detection and response. There you go. That's the new IDS or IPS in this case. It's something to think about. There's some decent points here for the OWASP wiki and the analysis of a /0 stealth scan from a botnet. Oh, that might be an interesting read. Let's go look at that. Here's it's a paper. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, so here's the paper for that. If you're interested in reading about a stealth scan from a botnet, looks like it was written University. Oh, okay. UC San Diego, La Jolla. What? Hello, San Diego. Yeah, love UC San Diego. That's awesome. La Jolla is a beautiful place. So they, botnets or collections of internet hosts, malware infection have fallen under the control of a single entity, bot master. I don't like that term necessarily. Botnets up to a few million hosts have been observed. Innocent users carry on with their legitimate activities, unaware that their infected PCs are executing various types of malicious activity in the background, including spamming, phishing, denial of service, DOS attacks, brute force password cracking, stealing of credentials, espionage, and cyber warfare. The news media and scientific literature have documented many criminal activities carried out by botnets over the last few years, and they have many numerous, looks like, including mobile phones. Yes. We'd like to thank Joe Stewart of SecureWorks for helping us to identify the SIP-scan binary. Oh, there we go. That's better. SIP header of the SIP-scan. Okay, there you go. So they've given some kudos to some folks. Sandia National Labs, reverse engineering the binary, and a Google Faculty Award for the project. Okay, yeah. So go take a look at this if you are interested in reading through this paper. I don't know if it reads well. It's a technical white paper, so this is the author's version of an article that was published in a journal. Changes were made to this version by the publisher prior to publication. The final record is available here. I can't guarantee you'll have access to it, but I'll leave it to you, the listener, to go through and find this somewhere on like some Scholastic paper portal that is pulling those things down so that you can read those if that's a thing. So, so scanning IP blocks, active scanning IP blocks, other sub-techniques of active scanning. Adversaries can scan IP blocks to gather information used during targeting. Public IP addresses may be allocated to organizations by block or sequential addresses. Yes, that is typically done. I mean, depending on who you talk to, I believe all of our IPv4 addresses have been exhausted. For a while there was a huge market in companies that had like /8s or even a /16. Giving those up was like several $100,000 for just a fraction of those devices. I want to say that they cracked down on that because it was pretty much like scalping tickets, right? If a company needs a 24 or a 28 or something like that, some fraction thereof, it's like, I know a guy I can hook you up $100,000 for, you got companies out there like, oh, give it here, give it up. I need the IP address. I need IPv4. So, so there's a lot of good information here. Ideally, some of the other things that we thought of, and I'm gonna wrap it up here, I think, because we're going to be talking about a lot of this stuff with AJ. I have tweeted out the study group is occurring. So, I mean, we're going to start off with myself and AJ, but like I told everybody, you are more than welcome to set up an account and follow along with us. We would definitely love to have you with us. If you're looking to retool or you just want to, spend some time on, hacking on something, at least by the second or third lesson in Tryhackme, you're already going through and walking through a web application to find certain flags. And so, I mean, you're definitely gonna, you're gonna be a real hacker according to the state of Missouri by hitting F12 and going into like web debugging. So you're gonna be a real hacker. You're going to be modifying some things on the websites for these things. AJ's already gone through several of these, so we'll discuss some of the answers. There will be spoilers. I will mention that before we start the stream, that here be spoilers beyond this point. Yar. So if you are interested in doing the lessons, make sure you do them beforehand. And we will go through and run through these items. So. What I'll probably do is have a, let me see, Tryhackme, doink. All right. So what I will do, and what I will announce tomorrow as well, is we will have a drawing for a free month of premium access to Tryhackme. So if you are interested in getting involved with that, we'll give away up to 5 premium accounts for for Tryhackme. So you'll have a free month basically of Tryhackme. I will figure out how to subscribe for you folks. I can give away a monthly subscription, and yeah, we can make that happen. So let me go see if I can gift this out to people. Let me see. Price is inclusive of taxes. Yeah, well, oh, yeah, it's not GBP. Okay, I'm not doing GBP. Okay. This is in Great Britain pounds. So but they have a dollar sign for the USD. Oh wait, USD monthly GBP. Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. Anyway, we will figure it out. I will see about what that means for everybody. If I can, gift to Tryhackme. I know that Black Girls Hack was also looking at doing some of this stuff and getting involved. So we can figure out what we're doing there. So if there's no other comments, questions, or concerns, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. We'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, and love your feedback. So please send some feedback to the people down here on the crawl. Brian Break, that's me. BreakSec, which is our official podcast and Twitter, or you can check us out. Send us an email to bds.podcast@gmail.com with maybe you want to put in the subject like Twitch stream or something like that. If you've got a question about a specific stream, that might be helpful too. So yeah, so there's got to be a way to gift subs here or something. Let me see. Profile badges. No, it's not badges. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, so they've got all these things. So they have Mr. Robot, complete the Mr. Robot room, Burp, the Burp Suite module. That's pretty cool. Cat Linux, being competent in Linux. That one would be fun. I'll probably learn something there too. They have the Christmas challenges, so you can be in the CTFs for that. Sans also does like holiday hack challenges, so you can go in and do the holiday hack challenges. OSINT room, what? Yeah, they spelled OSINT wrong, I think. Hash cracker, cracking all those hashes. I love that thing. Looks like Hashcat. So that's Hashcat. One of the things was I knew I would I could never be a cool hacker because I didn't have a laptop with just graphics card that was powerful enough to actually crack enough hashes to get anything done. Metasploitable, that's an interesting one. They have at least three different versions of the Metasploitable system. You can actually go and download the old Metasploitable and then Metasploit 2, I think, and then the third one uses like Packer and Vagrant and a bunch of stuff to build out a VM. Eternal Blue, that was an interesting vulnerability. Yeah. 30-day streak. Okay, hacking for 30 days solid. So these are various badges you can get for these things. 7-day streak. I haven't been 7 days straight yet, so that's fine. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, Introduction to Pen Testing module. I got that one. So there you go. But access. Let me see. Regenerate, negative. I don't have to use the VPN because the free version doesn't need the VPN. But I will see about being able to gift folks these things if somebody's interested in doing so. So, all right. Well, I hope everyone has a great day. I'll be back on tomorrow about 3 o'clock. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know, and we'll talk to you again soon.